Hey all. So I deleted my video about ADA BOLC I posted before because one of my friends who's a power service said that it is too detailed. Well, I turned it private and tried to edit it, but I think it's gonna be much easier for me to record a new video. To begin with, I always put this disclaimer in the previous videos too, but your experience is gonna be different because cadres they are updating their courses like all the time. They're trying new things, and it also depends on how many people there are for each class. And for me, I was there in January, so we had a very small class. But if yours is a lot bigger, then they still have the same number of cadre, and with a lot more people, then they're gonna allocate things a little differently, I imagine. So do not think that this is how it's gonna flow. I'm gonna explain this in several different phases. So the first is about the bowling itself. I'm gonna break down this phase, the phase one, as the tests phase before the track phase, and then FTX and track phase. And the second one is gonna be random tips related to bowling, but not about the bowling itself. And the third is gonna be off-post locations if you're living off-post, because I was wondering about which part is good, which part is bad, and even the good parts, there are some differences depending which part of Lawton you go to. And the last part is gonna be for people who are coming from OCS because they wonder how it compares to OCS, the BOLC. So the first part about the BOLC course itself. So the first phase, I would say, are the tests. In the previous video, I broke them down in detail, but I'm not gonna do that here so that I can keep it a little vague. But the tests are not super duper hard, but it's harder than you think, and you must study over the weekend. You do want to review the slides, and just going over TLO is not enough. There are a lot of, or I would even say most of the questions were from something else than TLO. So I took some Army classes before I came to BOLC as a holdover at OCS, and theirs were usually based on TLO. Let's say the 70% of it was from TLO, but that is not the case. So make sure you go over whatever you learn. And since you graduated from university, you should have developed a way to study for an exam. So try that out and see if that works for this course specifically. Find which way works best for you. And some people made their own Quizlet and went over it. Don't use Quizlet on the public domain. They're not necessarily accurate. If you are gonna use a Quizlet, make your own based on the slide. And but for me, that didn't work because making Quizlet takes too much time. So I tried that at first and I moved on to just a blank paper method. So I just try to summarize what I learned slide by slide. And then after that, I just pull out a blank paper and try to write down whatever I remember. And if I do it several times, then I remember it. So that's how I took an exam. And for the gunnery table, I did the same, but I try to understand the steps. So why the second step comes after the first step, why the fifth step comes after the fourth step. Even if what I think is not true, it still helps me remember it because I have the narrative in my head. And when you have the narrative, it becomes a lot easier to memorize something. And moving on to FTX. For weapons qualification, I have nothing much to say because let's say weapons qualification, right? But for the FTX, if you went to ROTC, then or West Point, I imagine you did a platoon level FTX a lot of times. If you are coming from OCS, then you only did squat level. So for me, I was very confused. I didn't know what to do with the security squad. I mean, I know what they do. They provide security, but I didn't know where to place them. And for me, it was some navigation. And I got a lot of help from the peers who went to ROTC. They literally told me, hey, put this section here, put that section there. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So there's nothing to fear about. One thing you should keep in mind, this might change, right? This might change, but they switched PL and PSG in the middle of the mission. When they first did it, people are confused because they were like, "Hey, what's going on? Did they mess up? Is like, are they fired?" No, that's gonna happen with every iteration, or I should say, that's what happened to us. I don't know if that's gonna happen with you. Going from the top, overall, you can bring whatever you want. Like I brought a lot of snacks, and you can bring a sleeping mat. You can even bring a cot, I guess. If you whatever you want to bring, you will have to rock a little bit, a tiny bit in the beginning, but it's not a hard rock at all. It's like pretty short and it's flat. So if you want to bring something, just bring it. And you're gonna be sleeping in a building. Um, it's not like a fancy building, but it still has a roof. It has a heater. I think it also works as an AC, I guess. For land nav, it was pretty easy. I heard OCS is changing their system too, and it's gonna be go or no go, and it's not gonna contribute to the OML. And it's the same here. I said go or no go, and I do not remember. Was it like a 3 out of 4 points to pass or something like that? Whereas at OCS, I'd say 4 out of 6 during the day and then during the night after the sunset. Another thing I want to mention about the land nav is for OCS we did land nav test with the 1 to 50k map, but it seems like our ROTC people did it with a 1 to 25k. So the practice was with a 1 to 25k, and it was in a 3-person team. But for the actual test, Cadre gave out 50k map, and that threw off a lot of people. But nobody failed. Just pass it and move on. And one thing that's different is that it's not a self-correcting course. Well, OCS LandNav Red Diamond is technically not a self-correcting course, but everyone wrote down the grid coordinate on the thing, so it became a self-correcting course. But for sale, I guess there aren't that many people doing the land nav as much as in the for Benning. So like it doesn't have the grid coordinate on the thing. But the thing is that they do have the thing with a grid coordinate not too far away from the actual thing. So I used that one. If I'm confused, I went there, I checked it, and then I shoot azimuth to the actual thing, like it's 20 degree, like 200 meters, and I'm like, that sounds about right, so I probably found the right thing. So that's what I did. Another thing we did was the night security. After everything was over, I think it was second night, we pulled security and tried to stop Cadre from infiltrating our security. That was pretty fun, but it was tiring because it was a long day. On the second day, did land nav, did FTX, and then I thought we were gonna go to bed, and then they're like, "Hey, you're gonna pull security for the night," so expect that. Moving on to track phase, I did short, so I do not know anything about high med, but for short, it's a lot of presentations. And one thing I really want to emphasize is learn how to do graphics while you are doing the practice briefings. So you're gonna do 2 briefings at the end, which are the major. But what is this? um, but you're gonna be doing a lot of practice briefings before that, and I did supply ones, and I did the calendar ones. You're gonna learn what that is. And I did some planning, but didn't do the graphic. And at the end, I did graphic once. So, like during the practice, I only did graphics once. So when we moved on to the bigger project, I really struggled with graphics. I spent like 6, 7 hours to just dump it because the graphic was bad. And I still made a pretty bad graphic, and that matters. I ended up using PowerPoint for the graphic. Some people use Maps Army, some website. I tried that at first, and it wasn't as convenient as I thought. I ended up just using the PowerPoint, and I think that's the best way, and a lot of people used PowerPoint only. So if you can get used to how to put the sector of fire and radar and things like that on the PowerPoint, that's gonna help you a lot because you're gonna be running out of time for the actual two briefings. So you don't want to waste a lot of time like I did. And for the first briefing out of the two, you do it with a partner, and you do not choose your partner. It's randomly assigned by Cadre. So let's face it, just like some people are super high speed physically, and some people are not. It's the same way with the planning and briefing. For me, I spent I slept 8 hours for 3 days and still couldn't finish it. And yes, I spent like 5 hours in a dinner meeting, but I know a lot more people spent a lot more personal time than I did and still finished it. And I didn't want to blue fuck on during the presentation, but I worked on the entire planning part, like from schema of movement to all of the plannings, and I did all of the graphics. And of course, I couldn't have finished the sustainment without my partner, but that was a lot of work for me, and I also did most of the situation because the situation my partner put was a copy paste from the higher level echelon, and I actually ended up spending time explaining to him why we should level it down to the platoon level. And this takes some analysis, which I ended up doing and editing the slide. The day before the presentation, I actually had to sit him down and spend hours explaining to him what our higher echelon upward says because he didn't read the upward even until the day before our briefing. And I'm telling you this for two reasons. And the reason is not to shame my partner. He actually did a great job presenting. The first reason is that I was affected by this, and I was shaking internally with anger because I felt like, oh, I tried so much, and I'm told that I didn't try because of the dinner meeting I had, which I thought was important and was a part of the learning experience for the, as a junior officer. So, and I also compensated it after I came back, right? I was really grinding myself, and I couldn't blue fuck on. All I tried to do was not to blue fuck on and still explain the reason why I couldn't finish the radar part, but I ended up taking all the blame, and I felt I was wronged. And the final product was actually fine, except for the radar part that I couldn't finish. But I thanked the military bearing point because I was sighing, and I looked very, very angry. I think so. Just think about, yes, like it feels unfair, but if the battalion commander tells you you didn't try hard enough, are you gonna be sighing in front of him or her? No, you shouldn't. And if that's the case, then you shouldn't be sighing and you shouldn't look angry in front of the cadre when you're presenting. That's the first lesson. And the second lesson is that you cannot control how the partner's gonna be assigned. I talked to several people after that, and some people said that, oh yeah, it was not hard, it was actually boring. And I was like, well, you guys had a two high speed people, and I was pretty slow speed. I had my graphics, I struggled with it so much, and my partner was also slow speed. So best of luck. Anyway, moving on. So I think that the last briefing is a lot easier. For me, that's how I felt. Especially because I did most of the things by myself. It was exact same thing. And you're gonna get the same scenario on the battalion level, I think, but you are in a different battery, I think. I do not remember clearly, but it's the big situation is roughly the same. But what was really hard about the second part was that you have to do the briefing for the weapon system, and I'm not good at memorization. I didn't remember shit, so I had to tell Cadre, uh, I don't know, Sergeant. I will, I will figure it out, Sergeant. I don't know, and then I give some kind of answer, and I'm wrong, and it can eat you up. And they're gonna be asking a very specific questions too. So be prepared for that. So moving on to random tips. If it's a first time for you to drive in the base, the MPs are going crazy with the speed limit. They don't care if you are driving 29 when it's the max speed is 25. If you go over, they catch you. So for me, I'm very tempted to speed up when I see an empty street. I'm like, shoot, I wanna speed up and just go. So I just put it on the cruise mode once I get to the base. Like once I pass the gate, salute, and then I put on the cruise mode right away so that I wouldn't get into trouble. And for off-post people, I lived off-post, and what I did from the very beginning was to bring a big duffel bag. I put all of my OCP, my uh, toiletries, and things like that, and I just change on base. If I have a lot of time, then I can go back. It's not a problem. But it's a problem if you don't have time and if you don't have clothes. I think everyone did it after a while, but for the first several weeks, some people off post didn't do that and they were struggling. Oh, and this is super random, but swimming pool at first sale is super duper empty. I went for swimming, lap swimming after PT. I swam regularly at Fort Benning when I was there for OCS. I already went to swimming pool like 3 or 4 times at the current base. I don't like running in the summer, so I don't like running in general. I shouldn't say that I'm in the army. I love running, but I try to take care of my joints, so I swim regularly, believe it or not. But um, here it's always packed. Like I have to share a lane with somebody else. At Fort Benning, I rarely had to share a lane with somebody else, but it was usually full. But First Hill is always empty, except like when there are children's class after duty hour. Then they don't have that many lap swimming lanes, and then it gets pretty full. But even then, I never had to share a lane. My penultimate point is off post locations. So I lived on the west side of Lawton, where there's a good Walmart. So there's a stabby Walmart and there's a good Walmart. But I lived around the good Walmart. And there's a Target and a lot of grocery stores and just a lot of things. And all the shops are there. So I found it very convenient. And then there's a east side, and the thing about that side of the town is that there's nothing else than apartments, but the apartments are new and they're expensive apartments. Um, if you hear the name, you're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I saw that place on Reddit," because people talk about those apartments. on the east side. Yeah, east side, west side, they are both good, but they're kind of different. Um, the place I would avoid is definitely Sheridan. I've already heard horror stories from my friends who are living on Sheridan, and I was only there for 18 and a half weeks or something. So avoid that place, and also avoid near the golf course, Cameron University golf course, that area, because it's really low in terrain, and when there's a flood, your car is gonna float away. That happened to our classmate. I lived on the top of the hill, and for me, it was just like a regular rainy day, but there really was a flood down there. And check the blacklist because there are blacklisted apartments and hotels. You don't want to spend time going to Jag and being stressed out about it. So do check the list. Moving on to OCS versus BOLC. Is it a is BOLC a gentleman's course? Yes, very much so. And you actually learn stuff. I mean, you learn stuff at OCS too, but it's mostly a like a weeder course, right? They weed out who's not cut for the officership in their standard, and I felt like that was the primary goal of the OCS. Although they also try to teach you some of the basic things, but at bowling, if you try hard, things are gonna happen. So try your best. I think these courses have different purposes, so it's not like a one is good or one is bad. Um, and you have a lot more privacy, especially if you live off post. It's a temporary arrangement, so I kept my furniture to the minimum. But you can still cook and live like a normal adult. And it's a different story, a little bit different if you live in a hotel, but I bet it's gonna be a huge improvement for you if you lived in the barracks at OCS. One thing I want to point out about the hotel is a lot of people were wondering about how the hotel is before coming to Bolig, because every Bolig in on the different base they have different hotel, they have different amenities. So I've been to a on-base hotel at Fort Jackson, and I saw Baltic students there. So I think they should be finance or AG. Is finance Fort Jackson anyway? Should be AG Baltic students there, and the hotel there is so fancy. They have a it's new, entirely new, and they have a living room, and then they have a bedroom. That's their economy. It's like dang, and they have a new sofa. uh, they have a little kitchenette which is almost like a regular kitchen. So I was like, wow, army hotel is so fancy. Living in a hotel wouldn't be that bad. And then guess what, the hotel at Boleg, as just a tiny regular hotel room, has no kitchenette, has a closet like that, and you have to push in all of your stuff there. So you do have a communal kitchen, but it's communal. ADA BOLC hotel is not that fancy. It's not like a rundown either. And another thing I learned is that you can save points from staying in the hotel, but you want to set it up when you're moving in at first. So if you're gonna be living in a hotel, definitely take advantage of those points. I lived off post, so I couldn't take advantage of it, but why not? You're gonna get a lot of points after staying in the hotel for 18 and a half weeks. It sounds like a really good deal for me. I think that's it. If you leave a comment about the ADA Bole, I might be able to respond to some of them. If you are asking me some kind of crazy question that's like classified, of course, I'm just gonna ignore your comments. As for me, If you are watching this video and if you know me, I'm doing well. I settled down and I'm in a very good location. I feel pampered. People are nice and everything's pretty new. The leadership's changing, not just me, but the battery commander and everyone. So I'm gonna be very busy, but I don't care because That's why I'm here. I don't have kids. I need to watch or take to daycare, so I can devote myself to the army. Um, and Cadre, if you're watching this video, shout out to you. Sergeant King, you are the best cadre. Not saying this because you asked me. Mr. Stewart, you have the best beard. And Sergeant Brown's the badass. He's always gonna outrun you. And Sergeant Munoz's not there anymore, I guess, but I don't know if he got to USO for free lunch before he left. Sergeant Burley has best hair. If you are at bowling right now and if you're watching this video, you might think, what the heck are you talking about? Well, he used to have a really slick hair, and that's now buzzed. But I think he will get back to it. And Sergeant Russo is sincerely the sweetest cadre there. Oh, and I'm not a vlogger. This is just a depository for me to empty out my Google Drive. So if you are thinking of subscribing to this channel because you think I'm gonna be posting something informative or something fun, that's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna be uploading videos from me driving and just like walking around, and it's like clogging up my drive. So if you still subscribe to my channel, that is fine, but do not expect anything. That's pretty much it.